So, a little bit about myself. My name is Francis Willie. I am a veteran from the United States Air Force. I am a filmmaker, an avid filmmaker. I attend the Los Angeles Film School as a digital filmmaking major through their online program. I am a starving artist. I am a father. And I am a husband. Now, when it came to what put this documentary together, I was often asked by my professor, what is it that draws me to my topic? And the topic isn't anybody, it isn't anything, it's myself. The reason why I am drawn to myself is because I feel like as a person, we are our own best subjects to really talk about the things that we go through in life, the insights that we have to shed, and the perspectives we have to share. I am self-aware enough to know that I talk to myself a lot, so I figured why not make a documentary where I interview myself, because also inspired me to do this, and his name is Tyler Gray, a former Delta Force operator. And as an operator, after he got horribly injured, he was often having video journals where he talks into a webcam, often to himself, and he would just speak about whatever is on his mind. And he has logged in quite a few episodes of those and has talked about it on the Sean Ryan Show, which can be seen on YouTube. But back to my point, the reason why I wanted to do this is because I think I have a lot of insight to give, and I don't really want to wait for the moment where I could maybe become famous or am dead to really share this. I want to share what I want to talk about to whoever wants to watch, quite honestly, in hopes that the insight I give can help people navigate their lives and also add value to whoever you are as a person. One of the biggest reasons that I wanted to push for this documentary in this style, albeit highly flawed, is because YouTube vlogs were an integral part of my childhood, my teen years, and even my adulthood. And so for me, to give an ode, a love letter to that, is very, very important. I'm Francis Willie. I was born in Manila, Philippines. I was raised in Manila, Philippines. I came to America around 2004. It was a culture shock, the various different cultures that were there, and it was very eye-opening to not only see and interact with different nationalities of people and interact with different ideals and perspectives. It was very valuable because the world is bigger than your barangay in the Philippines. Your world is bigger than your home. Your world is bigger than whatever you feel you should closely associate yourself to. And multiple perspectives and multiple lifestyles and multiple cultures really opens you up to really indulge in something other than yourself. And some people choose to close it off, some people choose to embrace it. Luckily, at a very young and precocious age, I chose the latter, to embrace it for what it truly was. And fast forward a little bit, as a teenager, I was very creative. I was a poet. I was a photographer. I often wanted to dabble into videography, but always felt like the art form was very intimidating, and I should have just gone for it, really. And one of the things that was a crossing point, or rather crossroads for me as a creative, was graduating high school. My mother wanted me to be a certain kind of way. She wanted me to be a stereotypical Filipino, a nurse, or a doctor, or an engineer, or a lawyer. And maybe, like the funny stereotype goes also for Filipinos, we joined the Navy. But with some guidance and some insight from my stepsister, I joined the United States Air Force, 3EOX1. I was an electrician. I really didn't care for the job. Long story short, it was always monotonous, very laborious, and I did not enjoy it. So after 6 years of being in the military, I chose to call it good. I chose to part ways with the United States Air Force. No hard feelings. I just chose to move on with life. Oftentimes, when I think about the military, I think about the stability that it gave and the structure, and how scared veterans are to part with that because you have to make decisions on your own, and you suffer from the paradox of choice because there's so many directions you can go in life. You could choose different directions in life. And I strongly believe that that is a little bit of the beauty of the challenge. You have to decide what you want to do. So I decided to now pursue digital filmmaking at the Los Angeles Film School. Overall, it wasn't too bad of an experience. You know, I got to learn the basics of filmmaking, editing, sequencing, and all that fun stuff, as well as the logistical stuff, such as trying to get a budget for a film, picking locations, getting rights to shoot places, and trying to assemble a cast and a crew. All of which is also another reason I chose to do my documentary like this. When it comes to trying to get a cast, when trying to getting a crew, trying to get marketing, it costs a lot of money. And in this economy, if I could be so honest, it's very unrealistic. So I chose to interview myself because I'm not going to charge myself anything. And I think that the biggest payout is me paying forward with what I have to tell people. And it's my story. I know that as I go into this documentary about myself, it will be very flawed. The structure is very loose, and I like it that way because as a creative, I want to really live in my flaws. I want to embrace my flaws. I think that embracing your flaws are one of the most beautiful parts of the human condition. And my flaws are not to the detriment of society. My flaws are just who I am as a person. That's truly me. And with my flaws, I now have, what's the word? With my flaws, I have now reconciled with the fact that even if I'm stumbling on this conversation with myself, even if I'm stuttering, even if I'm having a hard time gathering my words, you're seeing me for who I am. I'm not trying to be perfect. And as an Asian kid or a child growing up in an Asian household, that was always something I was stressed to do, is to be perfect, to be magnificent, to be prodigious. That's not who I am. And with my creative direction, I just really want to emote the way I know I feel. I want people to see that I have a hard time looking into the camera. I want people to see that I'm really trying to find myself as I make this video. The biggest pushing point for me as a creative is to really just be flawed. I think that it's one of the biggest ways you can really embrace filmmaking and content creating, or whatever it is, living as a person, is to enjoy being flawed. Whatever mistakes you make a point to improve. But also, I was taught a very long time by my art teacher from freshman year, Mr. McCaffrey, that sometimes the best parts of art is mistakes, accidents. It leads into something you never predestined. And that's one of the biggest things about this documentary called Me and I. It's a conversation with myself. I also want to delve into another key point of this documentary, and that is the wisdom I impart in my late 20s. Life is too short, so seize the moment. It's a cliche, but there's a lot of fact to that. I can sit here spinning my wheels trying to gather who should I interview, where should I interview them, which places will allow me to interview people. But now I'm sitting here in the trunk of my RAV4 talking to you, just person to person, just being honest. And I just seize the moment. It feels right in my heart. And I know that when I was proposing this idea to my professor, it may have came off weird, self-indulgent even, but that's not what I aim to do. What I aim to do is just to be honest with people, and the person I know the best is myself. And being a flawed creator is what leads me to expressing this medium, this very solo plant a camera somewhere medium. And it's one of the things that helps me move past the trauma of being in the military. Sometimes even simple tasks can feel like life or death. Like, oh my goodness, if I fail to do this at this certain time, it might hurt somebody. But it's not the case. If you fail to wash the dishes today, it's always going to be there. Hopefully I wash it soon. In this economy, I have to work 2 jobs. I just hope that in due time, I have the time to spend with my daughter. I'm very adamant about it, but my circumstances really hamper that. And this documentary, I don't really know where it's going. I don't. I'm talking about something one day and maybe something completely different the next. And when I'm reflecting about it on the spot now, there was this documentary called Exit Through a Gift Shop about Banksy that had no structure to it whatsoever, but it still somehow told a beautiful story. And the biggest element of that story is being in the moment. Terry, the original producer, director, cinematographer of that documentary, really had no direction of where to take his stuff. But the best element of it was how he was invested in the moment, interacting with Space Invader, with Banksy. And that was beautiful, because that's how us humans are. Really very unstructured. And it's really to a person's subjective notion to agree with it or disagree with it, to accept it or deny it. And if there's one thing that I could still retain from my days as a poet when I was a teenager, it's to really talk on the spot. To talk on the spot and talk how you feel, so long as you know that deep in your heart you're not trying to hurt anybody in the process. I love this view that I'm looking at over here. It's a view of New York City from the side of New Jersey. It never gets old looking at it every day. All I know is this. I just hope that regardless of what grade I get from this project, my honesty, my rawness, and my daring to be myself merits something. This is off the beaten path. This is very random. It can come off as overly self-indulgent, but that's not what I intend to do. So, until next time, take very good care.